My name is Richard Fern.
My name is Stanley Primnat.
I'm Ron DiFrancesco.
My name is Brian Clark.
I worked as an assistant vice president on the 81st floor for Fuji Bank Limited.
At 9/11, I was an executive vice president at Eurobrokers.
Working for Eurobrokers. We were on the 84th floor.
I was on the 84th floor of the World Trade Center in Tower 2.
On 9/11, wonderful, wonderful, warm, nice day. I stop in the same bagel store, pick up my raisin bagel, cup of coffee, the same thing I ate for 13 years. Every day the same thing.
I walked around the floor. Everybody was doing what they're supposed to do, I suppose, and I went back to my office, and at 8:45 I was typing away at my keyboard, opening emails or looking at spreadsheets.
While in the computer room, the lights dimmed, and for somebody who's an IT guy, that's not a good thing for us.
We heard this loud boom and ran over and saw the damage that was what happened to Tower 1.
And I just happened to raise my head and I'm looking an angle towards the north building. And what I saw was chunks of fireballs coming down from the sky.
Just 2 or 3 yards from me, 84 floors in the air, right against the glass, swirling flames.
We were able to see all the papers flying out of the window and flames shooting from the upper floors.
Floating in the air were singed paper, computer papers, newspapers, just all singed and floating like semi-flaming, smoking confetti. I went back to my office at about 3 minutes to 9, and I called home, told my wife something has happened next door, turn on the television. There's a developing story, is what I said to her, and there sure was.
You can hear the intercom system, the whoop whoop sounds. Your building is secure. Stay in your office.
If you're in the midst of evacuation, you may use the re-entry doors and the elevators to return to your offices.
I just happened to be looking towards the south, towards the Statue of Liberty. What I saw there is a plane coming eye level, eye contact towards me.
Being we were on the 84th floor, I figured, let me check the elevators. If they're working, I'll go down, because seemed like a perfectly good building at the time.
And every split second, it's getting larger and larger. And as this plane is coming towards me, I can see the U and the tail.
A friend of mine from Toronto was watching it on the news. He called me and he said, Ronnie, get the hell out of there.
And last minute, the plane tilted like this and just crashed into the building.
As soon as I stepped into the elevator, the second plane came into the building.
In a split second, our room just fell apart. Our floor, if you like, fell apart.
We got knocked flying and all the ceiling tiles fell in on us.
Speakers, the air conditioning ducts, everything just rained down on us.
Piece of the plane wing or whatever part broke out and is stuck in the doorway 20 feet from where I am.
The building swayed slowly one way.
At that point, we thought the building was going over.
Felt like the whole building was going to topple over.
It stopped after 5 seconds and then slowly came back to vertical, and sort of with a hop, everything lined up again.
And by the time it came back, I just jumped up and just had to get out of the elevator.
I reached in my pocket, grabbed the flashlight, shone it around this dusty room, and gathered up 6 associates who were on the floor in that area, and I led them into the center core.
Met a few other colleagues and we went to the stairwell.
So I ran into the emergency exit, and I started going down the stairs.
On the 81st floor landing, a woman said, "Stop, stop. You can't go down. There's flames, there's smoke. We've got to go higher."
I'm holding on to mangled furniture, and I'm scared to get sucked out because of the air pressure. And I started to scream, "Somebody, anybody, please help me."
And suddenly I heard this banging noise and this voice yelling from inside the 81st floor.
As soon as I start screaming, somebody at the other end of the floor had a flashlight, and they were shining it.
Feeling around the walls in the dark, I was able to reach out and touch a doorknob, which luckily when I turned it, it wasn't locked and it opened. Somebody was yelling, "Line up over here. Go down this staircase." Everybody was queuing up and they looked like they were waiting for their coworkers. I just sped right past them and started heading down the staircase.
As we were going down, we saw a heavy-set lady, and she said, "You can't go down there. There's fire down below." So we started climbing back up and trying every door to get out onto a floor. And I guess we got to about the 91st floor and realized there was no way out, that the stairwells were all locked.
Looking at the piece of the plane that was broken in the doorway, Other part of the floor is in flames. I can hardly breathe, and I'm scared of getting sucked out, and I start to crawl. I crawl the entire length of the loans department through the lounge, into the computer room, into the communication room. And as I got closer to where that light was, I'm confronted by that one sheetrock wall that stood firm.
I found this man with his sort of eyes, bright-eyed, poking through a hole in the wall with his hand, waving his hand, "Can you see my hand? Can you see my hand?" And I finally got to him. "Yes, hallelujah, I've been saved," he said. And we discovered, rather strangely, that we were separated by a wall.
And there's a person behind this wall. And this person is telling me, if you want to live, climb over.
So he scrambled up once. I missed him. Second time, he came up. I said, "You must do this." Up he came, and I somehow hooked under his armpit or something, lifted him up over the wall.
He was knocked off his feet. We rolled down a couple of steps, and the next thing I remember, I grabbed this man, hugged him, and gave him a kiss. I don't know how to thank a man who just saved my life.
And he gave me this big kiss, and I said, "Whoa," I said, "I'm Brian." And he said, "I'm Stanley," as he stood up.
He just straightened up himself and getting all composed and says, "Brian Clark." I said, "Stanley Primney."
I had a puncture wound in my left palm, and Stanley's, I think, in his right palm, but they were opposite. And I said, not only will we be brothers, we'll be blood brothers for life.
The smoke was getting heavier and thicker, and so I told some people to lie down, and I was lying down too, just to get below the smoke. Somebody called me. I don't know if you're a God-believing person, but somebody called me and said, "Come this way."
I came upon a woman and a man, and they couldn't pass anymore. They said, you can't go by. I just went to the wall that was down. I was able to lift the wall up enough to scurry under. On the next floor down, it was a similar condition. This time I jumped on top of the wall, rolled off to my left, and where I just kept going down the stairs.
And then I met some 3 firefighters, and I was saying, I'm having trouble breathing, and they said, "Just go down. You'll get some help downstairs."
Then it was when you got down to the lower floors, you started to see the firemen coming up. And we would stay to the right, and they were all coming up single file on the left. You had to think how many of those guys, didn't make it out.
The only people we saw downstairs when we got there were the firefighters and the cops and the EMS workers.
When we got to the doors on the south side of the trade center, a fireman said, "Hey guys, if you're going to cross VC Street," he said, "you got to run for it."
Do not look up, do not look around, just go for it.
They asked us not to look up, just run across the street to get away from the building.
It looked like a scene from Forrest Gump. The people are cheering and we're running, and Brian and I are running, jumping over falling debris, and we're just running.
I ended up on the ground level, and I went to walk out, and there was a lot of debris and people jumping, and it looked like a war zone. I heard this loud noise, and I looked, and this fireball was coming at us. And so I ran, and I woke up 3 days later in St. Vincent's Hospital. I had burns, they say, on 80% of my body, and I had a broken bone in my back, and I had my contacts in, so they were melted to my eyes. My wife said she came into the hospital 2 days later and walked right past me. I guess my ears were turned inside out just with the burns. My head was very swollen. I still deal with it daily, right? And I'm fortunate, but I have a lot of baggage, I guess you'll say.
I struggled with that survival's guilt for a long while. Lord, why me? Of all these good men and women, why me? And I stopped one day and asked myself, "Stan, why not you?" Had it not been for His grace and this one good man who stopped to investigate, I would not have been here. So I moved on, and yours truly became a certified pastor with the Assemblies of God.
I no longer dwell on the 9/11 events. People ask me to tell the story, and I can tell it because it rolls like a movie for me. But on a daily basis, I don't think about it. And I also know from my 9/11 experience that I don't worry about the future, because you can make plans, but you can't predict with any certainty what is really going to happen. So I just let it happen. So I don't dwell on the past, I don't worry about the future. It sort of leaves you with the present in the middle. And so I live in the present. Every day is a great day. Some are just greater than others.
I just consider myself fortunate that I'm here, that I can even tell the story. as long as there's not an airplane crashing into this building, you're having a good day. You can always take care of whatever problem you have here today.